Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. What a night it is tonight. A tremendous night. To be zochet incredible Yeshuot. A night that we can be zochet to things that the entire year seemed out of our grasp. I'd like to start with a beracha because tonight is the night of berachot. Kidarkenu b'kodesh. I'm here in my daughter's house. Hashem should be poked ota beben zachar bari v'shalem in the zechut and the mesirut nefesh that went into giving tonight's share, and that she and her husband opened up their home for a share of Torah. I'm here with my Talmud Gal. Hashem yivarech oto v'yatzlicheo min hashamayim. Hashem should give us yata d'shmaya to hit tonight for what it really is. It's a big night tonight. Tonight is Tu B'Av. Baruch Ata Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam Sha'akol Nihiya B'Dvaro. En Yamim Tovim LiYisrael Kechamisha Asar B'Av V'Yom HaKippurim. Did you hear those words? Those were the words of the Mishnah. There are no greater, happier Yamim Tovim to Klal Yisrael, greater and more than Tu B'Av and Yom Kippur. And that means that we're comparing in greatness Tu B'Av, Yom Kippur, as the greatest, happiest days of the entire year. But it also means that there's some comparison between Tu B'Av and Yom Kippur. And that is an incredible insight. I mean, let's stop for a minute. I'm sure you heard about the great rabbi, Rabbi Yisrael Salanter, the grandfather of the Musar movement. Rabbi Yisrael Salanter used to say, if the Jewish people were given the gift of having a Yom Kippur once every 70 years, it already would be the greatest gift, novelty to the Jewish people. Fathers would tell over to their sons the experience that they had on that once-in-a-lifetime Yom Kippur that they spent in such a moment, a day of awe and closeness with God like no other day of the year. And he would literally, if there would be a Yom Kippur that would come around, I mean, we would dress up our kids, we would make it a day of reckoning, a day of remembrance. Says Rabbi Yisrael Salanta, that's how big Yom Kippur is. Lucky for us that Yom Kippur doesn't come once every 70 years, but rather it comes every single year. You're going to forgive me for a moment. We're having a little bit of difficulty here. Bear with me. We're going to try to get back up the service. So hold on for one moment. I'm sorry. We're having problems with the service. Okay, let's try it now. So that's what the Mishnah says. The Mishnah says that the greatest, happiest days of the year for the Jewish people, Tu B'Av, tonight, and Yom Kippur. How could you compare Tu B'Av to Yom Kippur? Yom Kippur is a day that Klal Yisrael is cleansed from all their sins. Yom Kippur is a day, we just said, Rabbi Yisrael Salanter, if we'd have it once in 70 years, already, Dayenu. That's how great of a day it is. Lucky for us that we have it once a year. And says Rabbi Yisrael, that's the greatest chesed that Hashem, He gave us a Yom Kippur every year. And the reason why we don't tremble when we should. But the reason why we don't tremble when we come into Yom Kippur is because we have it every year. But really, says Rabbi Yisrael, it's the magnitude of something of 70 years. And if that's the case, how do you say in the same breath, in the same sentence, of Yom Kippur, Tu B'Av? We know that Tu B'Av was a great day. We know it was a day that Hashem was merachem on the city, like the Gemara tells us, the incredible story. Over there, we know that the Romans at that time, they came and they destroyed the city of Betar. We know that they would not bury the people. Hashem made a miracle. Their bodies didn't rot. Later on, finally, they came to Kvura Yisrael. We say on this the blessing Hatov HaMetiv. That happened on Tu B'Av. It was a very happy time. The famous Gemara on Berachot. But nonetheless, yes, beautiful, happy time. And it was a happy time where they used to go out to make shidduchim. It was also a very happy time. But to put it in the same sentence as Yom Kippur, we need explanation. Ladies and gentlemen, open your hearts. What you're going to hear tonight, I'm hoping, I'm praying that it's going to hit home so hard that this is the point that could turn everything around in your life. With Siyata Dishmaya. So let's start with something fantastic. In the story of Purim. Purim, Rabbi? Where does Purim come into this? Tu B'Av, Yom Kippur. Oh, that's what it is. Yom Kippur, Yom Kippurim? No. But you have to hear what I want to tell you tonight. This is something powerful. In the story of the great story of Purim, Haman was looking to destroy the Jewish people. Haman was all into black magic. And he rolled the dice. Purim, a goral, dice. And he was looking to see which month of the year was he to attack, which month can he destroy the Jewish people. He wasn't looking just to go after them, he was looking for a Holocaust. Which month can he completely destroy the Jewish people? He went through every single month. And every month there was a zechut in that month that he said, no, I can't touch him in that month. Till finally he came to the last month of the year. Finally he came to the last month of Adar. And Haman says, this is it. I'm going to get him this month. This is the month that their leader Moshe Rabbeinu died. It's a bad omen. When a leader dies, it's a bad sign for the people. They lost their greatest leader. They lost the greatest Jew of all generations. Lo kam b'Yisrael od ke Moshe. Says Haman, this is it. Moshe Rabbeinu died in the month of Adar. That's the month I can kill them as well. And he set his face and he put the date on the month of Adar, Yud Gimel, Yud Daled, Tedvav. Rabotai, he made a mistake. The Gemara tells it to us in Megillah. Little did he know that that very same month that Moshe Rabbeinu died, on the same day, Moshe Rabbeinu was born. And in the zechut that Moshe Rabbeinu was born in the month of Adar, says the Midrash clearly, in the zechut that Moshe was nolad bo, the Jewish people were protected and saved from the decree of Haman. Amazing. So in the zechut that Moshe Rabbeinu was born on that month, the Jewish people would not have the calamity of the Holocaust of this guy called Haman HaRasha, which was a Hitler, Yamach Shem on his own right. Why were they saved? Because in that month Moshe was born also. Wait 1 second. If that's the case, we have a bomb question. Do you know that in the month of Av, Rosh Chodesh Av, Aharon HaKohen died? Aharon HaKohen was equal to Moshe Rabbeinu in greatness. Hu Moshe ve'Aharon. Hu Aharon u'Moshe, says Rashi, to teach you that they were shakul. They were equal in greatness. Sometimes it said Moshe ve'Aharon. Sometimes it said Aharon u'Moshe. Rashi, they were equal in greatness. If that's the case, one second. Moshe died and was born in Adar, and because of that he saved us, that no calamity could hit us in Adar. But in the month of Av, Aharon was equal to Moshe. Aharon died, Rosh Chodesh Av. And we know that all three shepherds were perfect in their service. Their days were full to perfection. Moshe died on the same day he was born, and Aharon died on the same day he was born. So if Aharon died on Rosh Chodesh Av, that means Aharon was born on Rosh Chodesh Av. And just like in the month of Adar, in the Zechut that Moshe Rabbeinu was born in that month, Haman could not touch us, and no calamity can come on us, and we were saved from all tzarot. So the same thing with the month of Av. Yes, Aharon died in the month of Av, but he was also born in the month of Av. And in the Zechut of Aharon, we should be saved from all calamities, and the Bet HaMikdash, not one and not two, should never have been destroyed. B'zchut Aharon HaKohen, that was born in the month of Av. What a question. You know who asked this question? None other than the great Khatam Sofer, the giant, the Gaon, the Khatam Sofer. Answers the Khatam Sofer the answer that a Lamdan should answer, and you should already be screaming the answer. This is an answer that we attribute to Khatam Sofer, but every Jew should scream this answer. And the answer is that when a great person, a tzaddik, a gadol, a Moshe Rabbeinu, when he's born in the month of Adar, you know why his birth protects the Jewish people? Because Moshe Rabbeinu stands for something. And if the Jewish people are holding by what Moshe stands for, then Moshe's zechut can protect them. Moshe was Rabban Shel Yisrael. Moshe stood for the Torah that was brought down from Har Sinai that Hashem gave to the Jewish people. Asher b'harbanu mikol amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Moshe stood for Torah. If you're learning Torah, then the Zechut of Moshe could protect you. The story of Purim was a story of Kimu v'kiblu ha-Yehudim. Kimu v'kiblu ma shelo kiblu kvar. Har Sinai, they were forced to take Torah. Kafa alehem har kigigit. But by the story of Purim, they accepted or re-accepted Kabbalat Torah out of love. The story of Purim was the story of a Matan Torah out of love. You love my Torah? Then the giver, the Zechut of Moshe Rabbeinu, who stands for Torah, can stand for you as well. And that's why Moshe, who stands for Torah, at a time when the Jews loved and accepted the Torah, Moshe's Zechut could stand for them, protect them in the month of Adar, in the month he was born. That's Moshe's month. That's the month of Torah. You're learning Torah, you're protected. Haman can't touch you. But Aharon HaKohen stood for Ohev Shalom V'Rodef Shalom. And that means that if you want the protection of Aharon HaKohen, and the merit of him being born in the month of Av, then you have to be holding by what he stood for. But if you're a contradiction to what he stood for, then you can't expect his zichut to protect you. Aharon stood for not just Ohev Shalom, Rodef Shalom. Rodef Shalom. He loved Shalom and he chased after it. He was a purveyor of Shalom. Not only himself, but he chased other people and made them make Shalom no matter what, at all prices, at all costs. There's no such thing as a family without Shalom. There's no such thing as a shul without Shalom. There's no such thing as a neighborhood, neighbors without Shalom. There's no such thing. Aharon couldn't sleep nights if he heard two Jews were in a fight. And what did he do? He pulled in Aharon HaKohen. That's what his specialty. He would go to the first guy and tell him how much the other guy that's in a fight with really loves him. And he'd go to the other guy and tell him how much the guy he's in a fight with really loves him. And then suddenly they would look at each other, the two guys in a fight. And now they would look at their friend in a different light because somebody told them that they really loved them. They put down their guard. They loosen up. They walk up to each other and they hug each other. And then they work things out. That's the way of Aharon HaKohen. That's the way of a Jew. That's the way of Klal Yisrael. Ohev Shalom, v'rodef Shalom. If you want the zichut of Aharon HaKohen to protect you in his month that he was born, then you cannot be a contradiction for what his life stood for. He stood for Shalom. And that's why, in regard to the terrible Averot, Hashem says, I could have looked away. I could have looked away. I could have looked away in Avodah Zarah. I could have looked away. I could have looked away. Because you have something special in that month. The zechut of Aharon HaKohen that would have protected you. Because he's born in the month of Av. And that would have prevented the Bet HaMikdash from being destroyed. But your mishap and the area that you messed up, Klal Yisrael, was the area of Sinat Chinam, Machloket, no Shalom. If you don't have Shalom, then the Baal HaShalom cannot protect you. The Zechut of Aharon cannot protect you. And that's why, in spite of Aharon, born in the month of Av, we still suffered calamities. Bayit Rishon, Sheni, destroyed. Unbelievable. What an answer. What a Chatam Sofer. This is something that you pull up a notebook, and you get out a pen and you write this down. You write down the question, and you write down the answer, because this piece is legendary. Chatam Sofer. Wow. Because you know what this means? This means that if we would have had Shalom, in spite of all the other sins, the Bet HaMikdash would never have been destroyed. Because we would have activated through the Shalom between us the Zechut of Aharon that was born in the month of Av. Just like we activated the Zechut of Moshe that was born in the month of Adar and saved from Hitler, Haman, we would have been saved from the Romans and the Babylonians and all the Goyim that were coming to destroy the Bet HaMikdash in the month of Av. You know what that means to me? You know what that's mashma? That if we would have had Shalom, Bet HaMikdash would never have been destroyed. So now that the Bet HaMikdash was destroyed, the only way to rebuild it is to bring back the Shalom. Because the minute you have Shalom back, you can activate the Zechut of Aharon HaKohen, and suddenly the very month that was the Gorem for the destruction will be the very month that would be the gorem for it to be rebuilt. Because there's something powerful in the month of Av that we still did not activate. It remained unactivated for almost 2,000 years. The Zechut of Aharon. The Zechut of Moshe we used. It protected us from Haman in the month of Adar. But the Zechut of Aharon, who's equal to Moshe in greatness, we did not use. It remains dormant and unactivated, sleeping beauty, waiting to be awoken for the Jewish people in the month of Av. In what capacity? In the capacity that just like when we didn't have shalom, we could not use the Zechut of Aharon to save the Bet HaMikdash. Now that we will have shalom, we end up activating the Zechut of Aharon to rebuild the Bet HaMikdash. How do we do it, Rabbi? How do we do it? How do we do it? How do we do it? This is the way we do it. Yeah, but maybe tzedakah, all is great. We need all the zchuyot. We need Torah, we need tefillah, we need tzedakah, we need rachmanut, we need chesed, we need gemilut chasadim. We need it all. But we need it all once we already have shalom. Because if you don't have shalom, you don't have the foundation of what destroyed and what will rebuild the Bet HaMikdash in this month. The Zechut of Aaron HaKohen. This is an amazing piece, an eye-opener from the Chatam Sofer. Wow. Rabotai, please open your hearts. I need to share with you something. There's a very famous Gemara. There's a famous Gemara. The Gemara is found in Shabbat, Daf Kuf Nun Vav, Amud Aleph. Gemara says over there, En Mazal li Yisrael. Now that's such an odd statement. Right away, someone who learns the Gemara, simple, Pashup Pshat, they jump. En Mazal li Yisrael. There's no Mazal to the Jewish people. Lehefech. The fact that we're still alive demonstrates that we are the greatest Mazal on earth. Hashem loves us. Hashem protects us. Hashem keeps us. Look around the world. The most successful people in the world is Klal Yisrael, the Jewish people. That's the reason for all the jealousy. That's the reason why we're so hated. Wherever country we go, we always rise to the top. We're always the most successful. So if that's the case, there's plenty of mazal to the Jewish people. What does it mean, en mazal Yisrael? What does that mean? Rashi and Tosafot, they both take the same concept on the page. En mazal Yisrael, they explain, is that the Jewish people are not held to a mazal, but rather the Jew can overcome the mazalot, even his own mazal that he was born with. So even if you had somebody, God forbid, lo aleinu, that was born with a bad mazal, whatever that means, which honestly, maybe one day we'll talk about this, because I'm not so comfortable with saying such a thing, that someone was born with a bad mazal. A lot of times people think they were born with a bad mazal, and a big part of their bad mazal is that they think they were born with a bad mazal. And they shoot themselves in the leg. And they don't believe that they can rise above, and that they can succeed, and they can do big things, because they already threw in the towel before life started. En Mazal Yisrael, says Rashi in Tosafot, that people can go beyond. Klal Yisrael, the Jewish people, is not held to mazalot. You can go beyond the mazal, above your mazal. Explains Rashi over there on Kuf Nun Vav Amud Aleph, towards the bottom of the page. Rashi says, En Mazal Yisrael. Says Rashi, but al yedeh tefillah, you're able to overcome no matter what mazal you have and change your mazal for the better. So even if a person thinks he's in some sort of a bad streak, even a person thinks that they're down on their mazal, they're having hard times, they can't find a shidduch, they're not doing well in business, everything they touch goes sour, they're having issues at home, they're having issues bringing up their kids. So many times you hear people say, I don't have mazal with my kids. I don't have mazal with money. I don't have mazal with learning. I don't have mazal with shidduchim. Says Rashi, no such thing. And Mazal Yisrael. We, the Jewish people, are not held to mazal. We can rise above the mazal. Says Rashi, al yedeh, tefillah, and zchuyot. That's Rashi. But now I want to touch upon Tosafot. Tosafot over here on the page says something fantastic. Says Tosafot, Dibura Matchil en Mazal Yisrael. Says Tosafot, similar to Rashi, what it means is that we can overcome the Mazal. We are not bound to Mazalot. We can rise above Mazal. No matter what type of Mazal the person has, you can rise above it. Says Tosafot, al yedeh zechut gadol. If you are able to grab a zechut gadol, if you're able to do a zechut gadol, you can rise above all mazalot and succeed beyond measure. No matter what type of mazal you were born with, no matter what type of lines you have on your palm, no matter what type of lines you have on your forehead, no matter what type of mazal or destiny that you think you're held to, no matter what month you were born in, no matter what day you were born on, no matter what hour you were born in, with all the different cheshbonot and mazal and oh, you were born on a Thursday, you're going to be wealthy. Oh, you were born on a Monday. All right, we won't go further. But the point is, for the Goyim, astrology, mazalot, for them, that stuff, let them play with. Let them dabble in. But for you, Klal Yisrael, don't bother. Because it doesn't matter. You can rise above the mazal. Says Tosafot, through a zechut gadol. Now, what is a zechut gadol? It's a great question. Because whatever that is the key to everything. If I would know what that zechut gadol is, I'd be able to go do it, and then I have the key of Tosafot to open up all the mazal in the world and be a bar mazal bari, like the way the Ben Ish Chai calls them. Like Yosef HaTzadik, that anything he touched turned to gold. Wow. What's a mazal gadol? Different rabbis over the years gave different interpretations to what the mazal gadol was, the secret that's found in Tosafot, and what Tosafot was referring to when he said mazal gadol. Tonight I'm going to tell you just one opinion, because that's what the class is on. Tonight I'm going to tell you the opinion of none other than the Chatam Sofer. Because tonight is Chatam Sofer night. Chatam Sofer writes, I know what the Mazal Gadol that Tosafot referred to in Shabbat Tav Kuf Nun Vav Amud Aleph, when he said that the Jewish people are not held to Mazal, but every Jew could rise above his Mazal and reach the heavens like the luckiest man on earth. Al Yedei Zechut Gadol. I know what the Zechut Gadol is. Writes Chatam Sofer on the daf. You know which Zechut Gadol Tosafot was talking about? He was talking about the Zechut of Shalom. Chatam Sofer. He says that's the Zechut Gadol. because en kli shemachzik beracha yoter min ha shalom. Shalom. There's no vessel that carries blessing better than shalom. That means if you have shalom, you can catch all the blessings in the world. You don't have shalom, even if all the blessings are coming to you, it's like a pocket with a hole in it. The kli is broken. It'll come to you and then it'll go right out. Right onto the ground, le'ibud, God forbid. And you'll lose it. You get it and you'll lose it in the same moment. What good is it? And therefore, says Khatam Sofer, Tosafot was talking about shalom. Says Khatam Sofer, that is the pasuk that David HaMelech was talking about. Hasam givulech shalom. If somebody makes his boundaries shalom. You know what that means? That means that everybody in life, somewhere, draws a line in their life situations. Certain people you can schlep a little bit further, some a little bit less. Everyone has their own line that they draw in life, that they say in life situations, ad kan. Says David HaMelech, Hasam givulech shalom. If you draw your line, if you make your gvul shalom, meaning that you will not allow anyone to schlep you into a situation that will infringe on your shalom, that's the line I'm not crossing. In life, everybody has that line that they will not cross. If you make shalom the line that you will not cross, you know what you're going to be zochet to? What's the end of the pasuk, guys? What's the end of the pasuk? Hasam givulech shalom. You made shalom your line? You're not going to cross that line? Oh. Helev, heitim, yasbi'ech. You will enjoy the fattest of the best of wheat, which the Khatam Sofer writes means tremendous wealth. Tremendous wealth. Tremendous success. Everything in life that comes to you will be the fattest and the best and the juiciest of everything out there. The best kids, the best wealth and job and parnasa, the Midas touch, the best wife, the best shidduch, the best situation in everything. You will be the person that your chelik in life will be chelev hitim yasbi'ech. Why? Because you're the guy that was Hasam givulech shalom. You want to fight with me? Shalom. I'm not fighting with you. Not fighting with you. Says the Khatam Sofer, that's what Tosafot was talking about. That's what he refers to as the Tosafot's word, zechut gadol. Because there's no bigger zechut than shalom. Keeping shalom. Instilling shalom. Being a fighter for shalom. A purveyor of shalom in the family. And let them make fun of you. Here comes the peacemaker. Oh, yeah, I get that all the time. Here comes, David. He just wants to make peace. Let them make fun. Let them make fun. But at the end of the day, Helev Heitim Yasbi'ech, it'll be yours. It'll be yours. You'll have such siyata d'shmaya, you'll have such blessing, you'll have such shefa. There's a guy, I don't want to say a name, there's a guy here in Lakewood, New Jersey. This guy's unbelievable, this guy. This guy, I've never seen someone that's such a bar mazal in my entire life. This guy, it's not normal. He opened up, how many? One. He opened up, not one, not two, 3 yeshivot. And they're all booming. a girls' school, 2 boys' schools. He has a shul. He has a real estate business. Multi-millionaire. He gives shiurim. The guy, he just, in any area in life that he put his hand, he succeeded beyond normal. No, beyond normal. In every department, in religion, in wealth, in health, in harbatzat Torah, in business. What's the guy's secret? They asked him. What's his secret? He said, in all my years, I never allowed anyone to take me to court or beddin. And people knew this about me, and they took advantage of me because of that. And there were even people out there that picked fights with me because they know at the end, he's not going to take you to court. He's not going to take you to beddin. He's just going to pay out, just not to have a sichsuch with another Jew, just to always, no matter what, keep shalom. This guy is a guy that Hasam givulech shalom. That was his line. He's not going to cross that line, no matter what. No matter what. There isn't a person on the planet that can't say that they're on good terms with, that they're not on good terms with this guy. All his business deals, all his he said, I never allowed it. The minute we had a tiny disagreement, immediately paid him out. That's it. Okay, you're right. That's it. Done. And he says, people took advantage. People took terrible advantage of me. They thought I was a doormat. They thought you can walk all over me. But now look who has the last laugh. Chelev Chitim was not by them. Because if they didn't deserve that money, don't think God will let the money just resonate by them. But on the other hand, Hashem was impressed with this guy, who no matter what, would never violate a possibility of a tiny machloket. By him, his motto was shalom. Because Tosafot says that if you have the zichut gadol of shalom, according to the Chatam Sofer, you're able to rise above all mazal, to the highest levels of mazal, no matter what day of the week you were born, no matter what month, no matter what. You need shalom. You need shalom to activate the zichut of Aaron HaKohen in the month of Av to build the Bet HaMikdash. You need shalom to succeed in life, to succeed in marriage. You need shalom to succeed, period. You have shalom, you succeed in all your endeavors. You don't have shalom, you don't succeed, period. That's it. That's tonight's class. And it's an amazing thing. And if that's the case, I think you're going to get now what I'm about to say. There's a reason why the 15th of Av comes right after the 9th of Av. We just went through a Tisha B'Av, and we sat and cried on each other's shoulders. We cried about a Bet HaMikdash destruction. We cried about 3 months of Corona and losing great people and rabbis. We cried about the riots and the destruction of a country that we thought was a land of chesed and a land of justice, the home of the brave. And we watched this country destroy itself. And we mourned and we cried on Tisha B'Av, and we stopped and we asked, wait, how come the Bet HaMikdash was destroyed? Why on the 9th of Av? How come from all months, this month, we hit such destruction? Didn't we have Aharon HaKohen born in this month? Hey, Aharon, how come you didn't protect us? How come your zechut didn't protect us? You're equal to the great Moshe Rabbeinu. And Moshe's zichut protected us from Hitler and calamities in the month of Adar. How come your zichut didn't protect us in the month of Av and we saw annihilation and destruction of two Bet HaMikdash? Why are we still sitting on the floor 2,000 years later and crying over the same thing? Why weren't we bailed out by you, Aharon HaKohen? And Aharon looks right back at us in the eye and he says, if you want me to stand up and protect you with my zechut, then you need to embrace what I stood for. Because if you're a contradictory to Shalom, the Baal HaShalom cannot protect you. Aharon HaKohen cannot be the zechut to protect, and he cannot be the zechut to rebuild. This is the month that we need Shalom. And if we could find the Shalom after crying on each other's shoulders and realizing if we could just get back the Shalom to the Jewish people, if anything would come out from a Tisha B'Av, all the speeches and all the programs, and this shul and this website and that website, and all the amazing schedules, and there isn't 3 seconds without somebody else speaking on the big day. But what did we come out with? Because if you come out of Tisha B'Av and the very next day you kick over your neighbor's garbage can and you say, woofta, wouldn't these people learn already? You did not experience a Tisha B'Av. You might have went through Tisha B'Av, but Tisha B'Av did not go through you. That's for sure. Because the resounding message of Tisha B'Av is Shalom in Klal Yisrael. If you got that, then you got the Zechut Gadol. The moment you get the Zechut Gadol on your side, you're able to rise above all the mazalot. And at that minute, people who couldn't get married start getting married. And at that minute, people who couldn't have children start having children. And at that minute, people who couldn't make a parnasah start making parnasah. You know why? Because Yom Kippur is a day that God said to the Jewish people, I forgive you, salachti kidvarecha, and we made shalom with God after the biggest fight called the Egel. Yom Kippur is shalom between us and God. Tu B'Av is shalom between us and the another Jew. Yom Kippur, Hashem said to us, Salachti kidvarecha. Tu B'Av, one Jew says to his friend, Salachti kidvarecha. I forgive you. Are you meichel me? You forgive me? We just went through a Tisha B'Av. It's almost 2,000 years. This is never going to end until we make up, until we forgive each other, until we bring back shalom to the people, until we activate the zechut of Aharon who's born in this month. It's not going to happen until we stand up for what Aharon stood for, until we bring back the shalom. Do you forgive me? And then right after that, the guy comes back and says to his friend what God said to the Jewish people, Salachti kidvarecha. There's 2 days a year that stands for shalom. And that's why they're the 2 greatest, most blessed days of the year. Yom Kippur, that we made shalom with God, and Tu B'Av, that we make shalom one to the other with people. En yamim tovim liYisrael kichamisha asar be'av v'yom HaKippurim. There's no tov without shalom. There's no blessing without shalom. There's no kli that's machzik beracha without shalom. So there's no better days than the days that ensure blessing all year, because these 2 days instill the shalom in Klal Yisrael. Yom Kippur instills the shalom between us and God. Tu B'Av instills the shalom between us and man. And that's why this is the day of Shidduchim. It's not because of the Shidduchim. Tu B'Av is a day of Yeshuot. It also works for the guy who doesn't have kids. It also works for the guy who doesn't talk to his children. It also works for the guy who doesn't have Shalom Bayit. It also works for the guy who doesn't have Parnasah. It also works for the guy who doesn't have health. All the Yeshuot are there on Tu B'Av. That's why it says, En Yamim Tovim Ki Yisrael. Everyone has a Yeshua waiting for them on Tu B'Av. You know how? Because this is the day you can rise above your Mazal, no matter how bad you thought it was. You could rise above it, because this is the day that stood for the antithesis of Tisha B'Av. What we were supposed to learn from Tisha B'Av. Tu B'Av is the day that we activate the Zechut of Aaron HaKohen, Ohev Shalom, Rodev Shalom. And on that day, you can now rise above your Mazal with this Zechut Gadol, says Chatam Sofer and Tosafot, and be zochet to anything you need. Yom Kippur, you can ask from God anything you need. Tu B'Av, you could be zochet to anything you need. That's the kli that holds blessing. Shalom. Wow. What a mahalach. What a day. What a day, what a day. What a day. And that's why on this day we daven to Hashem. Hashem, please, allow me to find the siyat chen be'enei Elohim v'adam. I want to make shalom with you. I want to make shalom with my neighbor. I want to make shalom with all the people that I don't get along with. This is the day I'm going to make shalom. And I'll be zocheh in this zichud gadol, to rise above the mazal, and to be zocheh to geula prati, and a geula for Klal Yisrael. Because in the month that the Bet HaMikdash was destroyed, because we didn't have the Zechut of Aharon protecting, because we didn't have Shalom. It's the same month that when we bring back the Shalom, we activate the Zechut Aharon, which will be one of the great Zechuyot to build the Bet HaMikdash. Let me tell you an incredible story. You heard of the Noam Elimelech, the great Rebbe Elimelech Miluzhinsk. The Rebbe Elimelech. The Noam Elimelech. A man came to him once, as people came from him from all over the world. They asked for his blessings. He was one of the great tzaddikim of his generation. The Noam Elimelech, a man once came to him and he said, Rabbi, I'm married for 18 years and I have no children. And we tried everything and all the sigulot and nothing worked. I'm begging you, be merachim, the pain of not having children for 18 years. Bless us. Give us a blessing that we should have a child. The Noam Elimelech looks at the man and he says, I want you to think for a minute. Is it possible in your younger years you might have hurt somebody? Me, Rabbi? Hurt somebody? I'm a very soft person. I have a soft heart. I help people. I don't hurt them. No, Rabbi. I can tell you straight off the bat, I'm not that guy. I didn't hurt anyone. The Noam Elimelech goes, I know you're a good person. You're Bal Midot. You're a sweetheart. But think. Was there maybe by mistake someone that you really, really hurt over the years? You might not have realized it at the time. Think. The man is thinking, is racking his brains. No, Rabbi. I haven't heard anyone. The Noam Elimelech looks at the man and says, let me try to help you. Is it possible that there was a woman you were supposed to marry when you were young? Someone that you said you were going to marry, and you didn't? The man says, what? Rabbi, I met my wife. I married my wife. We're married for 18 years. No, I wasn't supposed to marry anyone else. The Rebbe says, think. Think. Come on, go back. Was there somebody when you were young that you were supposed to marry? Maybe you were engaged. Maybe you were married. Maybe you were supposed to marry. The man is thinking, racking his brains. And then finally he says, nah. And Ahimelech says, what was that nah? Nah, Rabbi, nah, come on. And Noam Elimelech says, no, tell me, what's the nah? You know, when someone says nah, generally there's something to that nah. What? He says, Rabbi, listen, there was a girl that lived next door. We grew up together. We were pitzalach, we were little kids, 3, 4 years old. We played together. Okay, we were best friends. We would play together. We grew up, we're neighbors. And we were the closest little friends, 6, 7, 8 years old. We even had this little tree house that we built together right next to our houses. And we would go up in the tree house and we would pretend that it's our house. And one day she said to me, I'm going to marry you. And I said to her, I'm going to marry you. And we promised each other that we weren't going to marry anyone else but each other. But Rabbi, we were 7. This is narish kindish play. This is child's play. What? You know how it went? We grew up. We started hitting bar mitzvah age. And you know how it is, boys and girls. They grow up. And even though when they were kids, they were best friends, but it hits a point where they stop playing with each other. At least we hope. They stop playing with each other. And they go their own way. So already when I was bar mitzvah, I went out to yeshiva. I went my way. She went her way. And after that, we kind of went our own ways. And we totally forgot about the promise that we made to each other. And when it came time, I started my shidduchim. I started to date. I went out with the first girl, my wife. She was wonderful. We got engaged. I married my wife. And here we are, 18 years later, waiting to have children. The Noam Elimelech said, do you know what happened to her? He says, no. Harav, I'll tell you the truth. After I started shidduchim and I got married, me and my wife, we moved away. I didn't keep up with the family. I don't know what happened to her. I guess she got married. The Noam Elimelech, Rabbi Elimelech, turns to the man and says to him, I think that you deserve, and she definitely deserves, closure. You owe her a big apology. You have to ask her mechila. You might have broken her heart. And the man says, come on, Rebbe, this is a story of 20 years ago. We were little kids. I said, no. You might have broken her heart. You owe her an apology. You must get mechila if you want to have children. Whoa. Rebbe, wow. If you put it like that, where do I find her? I mean, she could have gotten married and moved anywhere. She could be anywhere in Russia, anywhere in Poland, anywhere in Europe. Where do I start? Rabbi Elimelech, he thinks for a minute And he says to him, there's a great fair that's about to happen now next week in the town of Broad. Go to Broad. Maybe you'll bump into her there. People come from all over to show their wares. Maybe you go to Broad. Maybe you'll bump into her there. The man says, Rebbe, from all places you think. But then he realized, Rebbe Elimelech doesn't talk just like that. The Rebbe Elimelech, tzaddik, a gadol. If he's telling you to go to Broad, go to the city of Broad. And he did. That's where the Brodies come from Broad. So the man picks up and he goes out to the city of Broad next week, the big fair. People come from all over the country to show their wares. It's like this huge flea market, like a state fair. And the man is walking up and down the aisles of people, and he's looking for this girl. He doesn't even know what she looks like. He remembers her. He has a picture of her when she was 7. He doesn't even know. He might even bump into her, and he wouldn't even recognize her for a moment. How am I going to do this, he says. This was a bad idea. Why did Rebbe Elimelech even send me here? And this whole thing is ridiculous. I owe her an apology. Come on, we were kids. And he's thinking to himself, what is this? I'm never going to find her. Just then, it starts to pour. But such a downpour, like torrential rains. And this guy, immediately runs with all the other crowd of people for cover. And he runs up to the nearest store that had this canopy hanging out over, and he's squeezing in with a bunch of people trying to make his way under the canopy to stay dry. And as he's squeezing in with people trying to stay under the canopy to stay dry, he feels that he's rubbing up against a woman. So as not to be impolite, he's a religious man, he starts moving away, and he hears a voice behind him say, "Again you're trying to run away from me?" He spins around. He remembers that voice. And there she is. He comes to her, face to face, huddled together, under a canopy. And she looks at him. And he looks at her. And he recognizes her in a second. And he says to her, "I cannot believe it's you. I am so happy I found you. I came to the city abroad just to see you. I'm begging you, please. Please believe me, I don't want to hurt you. We were kids. And at the time, you were my best friend, but I was 7. And I know I made a promise. And I know you promised me. But life changed. And we got older. And I forgot. And I went my own way. And I married a girl, a good girl. And I'm married now for 18 years. And I don't have kids. I'm begging you, be meichel me. Give me a mechila. Please. I'm begging you for closure for both of us. Give me mechila." And she looks at him. And she smiles. And she says, "I'm meichel you. I forgive you. This means a lot to me too." And it stops raining. And they both walk out from underneath the canopy. And he turns around to motion to the wagon driver that it's time for him to leave. He got what he came for. And he turns back around to say goodbye. And she's gone. And the man jumps on the wagon. And he turns to the wagon driver and says, "Wow, Rebbe Elimelech, he was right, I met her. Take me back to my hometown. I want to stop off there. Once I'm in such a nostalgic lane, I want to stop off there to say hello to my parents and some of the old people and tell them the amazing thing that just took place. What are the chances that I'd meet her? Let me tell people the meifis, the miracle of Rebbe Elimelech. The man takes him back to his old town. And this guy gets out of the carriage and walks up to his old house. And then he looks at the neighbor house where the girl once lived. And he turns around and looks up. And the tree house is still there. The spot where he stood with her and made the promise that he would not marry anyone but her. And he walks back to the house and he's about to knock on his own door. And out from the next door walks out a man. And he looks, and he takes a second look, and he recognizes that's the brother of the girl. He was young, he was a little boy at the time. She was older. He recognizes the brother, he runs up to him. He says, Shalom Aleichem. He says, oh, Shalom Aleichem. Welcome back home to your hometown. What brings you here? And before he says anything, he turns to the brother and says, I have regards for you from your sister. I just saw her in Broad. At a state fair. I just bumped into her. I can't believe it. And the brother says, what? My sister? He says, yeah. I just met her now in Broad. I send her regards. The brother says, are you okay? My sister's dead. My sister's been dead for over 18 years. He says, what? What are you talking about? I just saw her. I just met her this morning in Broad. I stood under the canopy while it was pouring rain. I talked to her. She spoke to me. What are you saying? The brother looks at him and says, what are you saying? Are you out of your mind? My sister's been dead for 18 years. You didn't hear? He says, no, how would I hear? He says, what do you mean? You should have heard. It was the night of your wedding. When you came back from yeshiva and you started to date, you met a girl, you got engaged. And it was the night of the wedding, and the wedding was held in the next town. And as neighbors, my parents went out to the next town to be by your wedding. And they turned to my sister and they said to her, aren't you coming with us to the wedding? This was your best friend growing up. And my sister said, no, that's okay. And she stayed back. And that night she went to bed and she cried her heart out that night in bed. And in the middle of her sleep, she died. Heartbroken. Waiting for you. Where did you say you saw her? And then it hit the man like a ton of bricks. The great Rebbe Elimelech was able to summon a soul back from the next world, back to this world, just to get this guy one mehila, so that he should have the opportunity to have children. He was ready to summon a soul, a neshama from the next world, to come back to Broad for a few minutes, just for the sake of a mehila between two Jews. Because the minute you bring a shalom, you're able to tap into the zechut gadol that propels you above the mazal and brings all yeshuot. And in the month of Av, it will awaken and activate the zechut of Aharon. Just like the month of Adar with Moshe. Aharon's zechut will be awakened. And that shalom will awaken and activate Aharon HaKohen. And that in his zechut will be able to rebuild the Bet HaMikdash because of the shalom that comes to the Jewish people every year. Days after Tisha B'Av, the rude awakening, we come to the day of Tu B'Av, the day that, like Yom Kippur, Hashem said, Salachti Kidvarecha on Yom Kippur, and now we're shalom with him. On Tu B'Av we say Salachti Kidvarecha to one another, and now we're shalom in Klal Yisrael. Nachamu nachamu ami. Thank you for listening.